Good evening. This is the Southborough Stewardship Committee, and pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Stewardship Meeting will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at the Southborough website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So this is Joyce Greenleaf, Chair, and I am calling the meeting to order at 6:40. I'm going to do a roll call. Freddie?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Catherine?
Here.
Jenny?
Here.
And we also have Melissa as our Zoom administrator. So the first agenda item is approve the minutes. Thanks, Jim, for getting them out. Just sifting through my papers to find the right page. Did anyone have any edits on the minutes? Freddie?
No, I guess it's after adjourn. I just see a 1 hanging out at the bottom. I don't know what that was from, but
I think it's a page number.
Yes.
okay. When I had a question on Kimberly's project, it says Kimberly will check back in with stewardship mid-project. Aren't we talking to her before then?
So I think mid-project is going to put us, I think it says late April, early March, but I think it means late March, early April, Jim.
Oh, they go that way, huh?
But that wasn't my question. My question is, is she just going ahead now?
Yes.
And we're not seeing anything until she's in the middle of it? Because
Well,
it does say possible site to ID trails and bird box placement. And wouldn't that be when we want to check in? I didn't think we were just saying go off and go to it.
well, I know she did, I think, reached out to Kat. Is that correct about a site walk? Kat?
Yeah, she said so I sent her a PowerPoint and a video, but she snuck out there and took a walk and asked some very detailed questions about parking and some other things.
So we can definitely still schedule a site walk with her.
Well, that wasn't my point as much, although that wouldn't be bad. And this is minutes, but I wasn't confident that we had just said everything's all set. Did we?
I thought we approved her to proceed. I actually
Okay, then that's me.
showed
So
us a lot of design stuff, and we gave her feedback that we didn't want the painted ones. We wanted the more natural.
So we weren't caring about anything else after that guidance and just.
Freddie, I think what the plan was that she was going to give you periodic check-ins, but the next time she came to the meeting was going to be mid-project.
Is there a specific concern you want to make sure we follow up with her on?
I guess it's just a memory thing. I just didn't think we said that we were all set without knowing exactly where and what.
So I have a note that says, and I probably didn't take detailed notes on like the actual statuettes part, but I have written down she will try to send printed material drafts for end of March / beginning of April for us to review. We should schedule a meeting for then.
That's more in line with my memory. I don't have it written down, but
Oh, yeah, so that was for the printed materials, but the stuff that's gonna be installed, I think, like, we're not approving every little statuette and design, I don't. and
Yeah, I
how
don't
it
think
goes.
so. I
guess
I
that's
think
why I was
maybe-
confused.
okay.
I feel like maybe she said, oh, she might send like a picture, some pictures or something as she kind of is starting to work, but I don't think we were
Okay.
gonna approve every single one.
Yeah, I didn't think we needed to, but I just didn't know that it was full go ahead. So I guess it is. So
Yeah,
this is about approving the minutes. Sorry, that
Yeah.
just wasn't what I thought we had done, but
yeah, but, well, you
Okay.
are correct about the printed material, though, because we were more specific that we would want to see what's in her printed material to be comfortable with approving it, so.
Yeah, I did change it from late March to early April.
Anything else from the minutes?
I make a motion.
Ready? We have a second.
Wait a minute, I didn't make my motion. Sorry, I was looking for I make a motion to approve the minutes of February 24th, 2021 as presented.
A second, that's Kat.
All in favor? So Kat,
Aye. Yeah. in favor.
Jenny,
Yes, I approve.
Jim,
I approve.
Freddie,
Approved.
and I approve as well. The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so the next item is an update on the Eagle Scout project. And I forwarded those materials today. So the Eagle Scout wants to adjust his plan. It's a little unclear to me why, except that I had the sense that maybe the materials or the labor are more inexpensive to make it bigger or something. I wasn't really sure. But the biggest thing to point out in my mind were two things. We had said no pressure treated. He wants to use pressure treated that will be sunk in cement, not in the earth. And it seems really big. The bulletin board would be 72 inches wide. That's 2 full yards.
That's
6 feet.
6 feet.
And it's only 3 feet off the ground. Is that like looking at it from a kitty perspective?
I don't think that's correct. It's 66. Oh, wait, you're right.
I am right.
I missed that ground line.
I did too, because I thought it was 6 feet off the ground. And then I'm like, but it's only 3 feet. Isn't that awfully low? I mean, it'd be good for little kids to draw on.
Yeah,
Well-
Jim, do you have any more info?
We don't want that, but I'm just saying they could.
Yeah.
Or stick their mittens on.
So when the Trails Committee put our kiosk up, we didn't have to, but we checked with the building department to make sure that we were following the protocols within town to make sure the signage was as high as it could be. And there was something, and I can't remember, I could probably pull it up or I could contact the building department just to confirm that it was in compliance with, I think there's an ADA component to it that, but it did not overcomplicate the process or create any barriers for us. We were just double checking and making sure we connected in that way. I'm happy to reach out to them and get that information if you want me to.
Well, first we want to know what we want, and isn't just using your size. Isn't there a standard size these things come in?
Well, I mean, he's
Oh,
building that, so but the one near the cemetery that Trails has is very narrow, like it's small.
Yeah, I think it's only 33 inches wide if I remember correctly. Now that thing was, I don't mean to laugh. I love the DC, I love DPW, but they installed it so high that it takes a step ladder to get up to it to to look at it. So it's a little high in the air, but but 3 feet's a little low to the ground. So a little bit in between there, right?
Is
Yeah.
there a reason for 3 feet?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm wondering if you're in a wheelchair, it's easier to read. But then again, that's not really a wheelchair accessible place from your car to get over to where the kiosk is. Not, I mean, it's just things we should be thinking about maybe, but then what are you going to do?
Right. Same thing in our world where the parking lots were not ADA compliant, but you know, we wanted to make sure we were following whatever protocols the town had set forth. But yeah, I think 3 feet is it's too low.
Yeah, he doesn't really give a rationale for why I guess I thought because he mentioned the donation thing that maybe he thought it was less expensive to do it this way or something. But I guess I just don't, I mean, can anyone discern a rationale for this change?
Not for the 3 foot high. The current sign, I'm not sure how high that is.
Yeah, the
When I
only thing
put-
would be, yeah, the only thing I could think of is like if they didn't want to have to make a cut, if they were, I don't know, but they,
Is there a tree in the
Sure.
way? Is there an existing tree limbing coming down that might be in the way? I don't remember if.
no, I don't mean like that. I meant like if they're buying whatever material the display is going to be made out of, if
Mhm.
they, you know, like, but surely they can get it cut to whatever size they want pretty easily. So that's like, I was just trying to like do some, you know, whatever silly measurement, you know, pretend measurements. I mean, 3 feet is like about the size of a desk. Like
Size
that
of-
high off the ground. I just held up a piece of paper and estimated.
Yeah.
Well, I just know I'm taller than 3 feet, but
3 feet is, yeah, it's one.
it's
yard.
like your waist height, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, probably
Most
lower.
people have to bend over to read it.
Well, that's the bottom of it though.
So
So it's big. It's a big display space, but I think it's gonna look like out of proportion somehow.
well, it's too big for, like, what's it going to block? I don't want it anywhere near where it is now. Like, what's that, twice the width? What do we have now, do you think?
Maybe
feet?
4 feet, I would guess, yeah.
I don't think I want anything bigger than that. Maybe, do you? Can you imagine anything bigger than that?
No.
Feels like a train.
So I wonder if I should try and get out there and just measure what we have and tell them we want something that's within a couple of inches of, I mean, I wouldn't mind a little bit bigger display than we have currently. But
Yeah.
I don't want 6 feet by 44 inches display.
Yeah, 6 feet is pretty wide.
It is. A lot of real estate there.
I feel like that's my dining room table.
It is. It could be.
So if we simply tell them to make it more in proportion to what's there, would that
Did we
work?
ever decide on where we're putting it?
Well, we're gonna have to go and cite it with, he also asked me to walk with him for the casserole box to show him where we want it. So we could do that at the same time, either all of us or any who can make it, but yeah, I'll email him tonight or tomorrow and I'll just run out and get measurements. And we also don't want the display area that close to the ground, right?
I have a copy of it here, but you can't really tell how high it is. I mean, I have a picture of it. But if it's
Do you
helpful.
think that it has to do with the sort of sizes that those treated lumber on either side of the
You know what?
posts come in?
We can guess all we want. Why don't we just talk to him and say, why did you change this? And we're not sure it fits what we need. And if there's a good reason, we could consider it. But right now, I don't know that I can't come up with a reason.
Yeah,
I don't know that it matters, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
It needs to be a size that works.
right. I've got a good picture. Do you want to see it?
yeah.
A picture of what
The kiosk.
that we have now.
Uh-huh.
Can we measure it?
Patty came to me with this before just doing it
Well,
because what I emphasized many times.
you see the picture now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it has a bike in front, which is good perspective.
So how tall are bike handles? Is that 3 feet?
So
A little
maybe,
more, it's more than 3 feet.
yeah.
I'm not allowed to estimate, free estimate. I'm not allowed to provide it.
You're not what?
I'm not a good estimator, so I'm not allowed to guess.
I'm guessing it's 4 foot wide because I made that, and but it was 30 years ago, so I don't really remember, but that would be half a sheet of plywood.
So what is, so it might be taller than we need, but not necessarily because the roof covers the top part. Nobody ever puts anything up there, way up high.
There was nothing under the roof line, so.
Right, because nobody puts anything up there because it's way up high and it's under the
But
roof
yeah,
line.
there's actually no board under there. It's open space.
I think I might have put my yellow signs over there on the, where it's blank now, on the, what you're looking at, where there's space, but not all the way up, if that's what you're asking.
So how much bigger than that do we need?
I wouldn't mind it being a tiny bit wider, but I mean, if it's also like, I'm wondering if it's being driven in part by having, allowing him to make fewer cuts.
Maybe.
That shouldn't drive us
I
with
know,
a scout project.
I know.
Okay to ask for what we want.
Maybe it's being driven by these posts because these posts are really large. So maybe the height is being driven by that.
But do you see how this is at the, you can see beyond to the hillside behind, and I mean, this would be a big, like, billboard. That's the word I was looking for, like a
2 feet
billboard
wider, yeah.
blocking the view.
Right.
Like, I think it's just too big.
Yeah, well, so I think I agree with what you said, Freddie. Maybe Joyce, you can circle around with him and kind of find out if there's like an actual, mechanical, structural convenience reason for the changes.
I think more important though is for us to say what's acceptable to be there, because if there's a mechanical reason but it's too big, then he'll need to find another mechanical fit if we really don't think it's okay.
Yeah,
But
I will
you
circle
can
back.
always make something smaller, so that's not a problem.
What, us?
Well, he can. He doesn't need to make it 6 foot. He can make it 5 foot. That's not a problem mechanically.
Right.
Says you.
And I thought for the Trails Committee, I would love to have something a little bit wider. I would love the size of this actually on where we have our trailhead kiosks, because I run out of space. So this is a nice size.
You think the one we have now is a nice size?
Yeah, a little wider, like Joyce said, would be good, but yeah.
I'm not even, I'm thinking 6 inches wider, not even a foot wider.
Yeah.
Let's go with measuring tape, and then later in the agenda, you're going to see a potential time to go to.
Okay. I will get back to him and say we're gonna go back, but also, is his especially tall too? That's harder for me to gauge. I don't know what.
So it's 8 feet, right? From ground to top or to mid-level, it looks like. Is that what the 96 is measuring
Well,
to
that
mid-level?
I thought was into the ground, because then it's like 84. I don't know. I got confused by those inches there.
That outside, yeah, that outside 96 looks like it's the arrows from the ground to just to the top of that wood. So even the roof would be a little higher even.
Yeah, I think so.
So is this for Bigfoot?
It's too big. We want it more in line with what we have. And I'll go and do some measurements, or we will together, but I'll give him that heads up that we're worried it's too big, it's too massive, it blocks too much of what is showcased in that garden, and I'll circle back with measurements. I mean, we can live within a couple of inches of measurements.
Yeah.
That we provide him, but not feet, differences in feet like this seems to be.
So
And
the old kiosk,
Yeah.
how was that installed, Jim?
Dug holes and stuck it in and stood it up and put the dirt back in the holes.
So potentially you can pull it out and go find some other holes and stick it back in,
That same sign,
the same kiosk?
it's the top of it is really rotted away.
But potentially you could do that.
Yeah, the frame is pressure treated. It'll last a long time. There's a sheet of plywood on the back. And as I remember, I also put a layer of some kind of like pin board, push pin board,
Yeah.
so that you could easily push pins into it. So
Well, just because it's an existing thing, I was just wondering if it maybe would fit over at the ecology side. We could put some signage up
well, if
and
you
info about the garden there.
get some new cedar shakes for the roof, somebody put those on, then it would be fine again.
Because it doesn't seem to, it's not too big. Maybe we don't need something that big, but I just want to put that out there as a consideration before we just trash it.
You
If
could
it,
paint it again, give it a nice fresh coat of paint. Eco-friendly paint.
Well, the
I
Eagle,
guess I'm just the one who loves the old history of that.
the Eagle Scout was gonna disassemble it and take it out. So we'd have to make a decision, we'd have to know that that was something we wanted to salvage.
It's also the thing, once you pull it out, it could just fall apart and,
Yeah, maybe that's the determination is how good, but actually you'd probably want him to know in advance, obviously, try to save it.
we
Right?
could go look at it.
Yeah.
And
It's
sometimes
pretty-
trying to save something, you might as well just be easier to put something new in if that's what we really want. But I just thought it'd be kind of nice to keep the old history there.
I love the history of it. It's 30 years old. If we could reduce, reuse, for sure.
Well, I also
We-
like the paint job.
Oh, you want to keep it the paint job. So it's like,
There's a reason for that paint.
the Belty cows.
Yes.
That just showed up one day. Nobody approved that. Somebody just went there and painted it. So
Really?
So that could be annoying, but to somebody who was there at the time. But I'm looking at it today and I don't have that memory. So,
Yeah, I think it was the lady who also did the mailbox in the neighborhood that way.
yes, I think so.
Yeah.
So what kind of wood can he use?
Yeah, so he's asking, we had told him no pressure treated, but I think that that's what was there now. And I don't know that pressure treated is as bad as it used to be.
Right. The conservation officer, Priscilla Ryder in Marlborough, said that it's no longer considered, because it was arsenic was the problem, that it was no longer an issue. Now I can't speak to it. Used to be that, I thought she said that arsenic is no longer in it, but then someone contradicted that. So, but and she's a conservation agent. She was comfortable using pressure treated wood in a lot of her Boy Scout projects that were around wetlands and such. That's just one perspective, but open to the group's thoughts on.
Yeah, I was okay with the pressure treated. I was more concerned about the size.
You can specify it be heat treated, pressure treated wood.
We
What
can.
does that do? What does that? Does
So
that?
so they still use like the chemical pressure treated, but there's also just the heat treated. It's usually stamped with just an HT. So it's
doesn't have the chemical?
yeah, essentially.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So it's not just purely it's not pressure treated is okay, but heat treated, pressure treated is okay.
Yes.
I've actually heard of that for siding. People actually take a torch and they heat treat things for siding. I've never heard of it used below the ground surface. So that might be something to look into first.
Well, I mean, I think he was aiming to get started, probably April or May. So I don't know that we want to be researching all this or, so, I mean,
Well, then we go back to original, just go with the cedar. If we don't have time to research it.
he's also saying we did already approve him for use of concrete. So the pressure treated would not be touching the soil. It would be in concrete.
That would be an acceptable compromise, I think.
Yeah. Are people comfortable with that?
Are we comfortable with concrete in the holes?
I would be.
I am.
I'm comfortable with whatever Jim says.
Yeah, I want Jim's expertise too on this. Well, Kat.
And Kat's. Sorry, Kat's got a lot of experience here.
No. I defer to Jim, but all of ours are in concrete.
Yeah.
Okay, so concrete's the way to go.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell him it's okay to use pressure treated. Our preference is heat treated, pressure treated. Concrete is okay, which he already knows concrete is okay. And that I want to talk to him about the size. In fact, maybe I could even have him meet me there after school someday or something.
When we talk about size, though, you should have some guidance from the committee. So,
Well, I thought we wanted something close to existing size, but
No.
maybe 6 inches wider.
Yeah.
does 6 sound good enough?
Yeah. 3 on each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more, but not too much more. And he
Oh,
wants what?
I love that. It's more, but not too much more.
It's just right.
So he asked about painting it green or some other color. Do you guys have a thought?
I think if you paint it, the paint will eventually fail and it will need to be repainted. With pressure treated wood, it simply turns gray after a while, and that's it. I think personally I would not paint it.
I
Plain,
agree.
plain.
I like it rustic.
What happens to pressure treated wood when you don't paint it? Does it just stay that
Just
pressure treated
it
wood
turns
color?
gray.
It will turn gray too?
Yep.
Okay.
It looks good.
Gray is good.
Yeah, it looks like aging wood, right?
Blend. Yeah.
Black or gray. Yeah, we'll tell him no paint. That's easy. And then if
What about the board area though? What's on the board area?
we had given him some specifics about the bird because the board, because he was going to do plexiglass and we don't want it. We just said some sort of something you could push a pin into.
Is that going to be a color painted or just gray?
I don't know what color it comes in. Is it like cork board? I thought it would just be brown.
Yeah, it's not cork board. I forget the name of the board that I used. And what I did was I simply sprayed it with a waterproofing chemical so that it didn't deteriorate too fast. And it seems to have held up. So
40 years?
30.
30 years?
I'm not that old.
So can we say spray paint it with some
Waterproofer.
waterproofer? But
Do
what
we-
is the?
Do we
is-
want them to spray paint it outside of Breakneck Hill so they're not bringing the chemicals near Breakneck Hill? Like they can do that at their house and then bring it here, just as a specific, keeping the chemicals, because you have plants back there, right? If it's still there, like if it's in that location.
Yeah, we have plants there.
Am I being too particular?
No, you're not. You're being smart. My question is, do we want the background spray painted a color? What color?
Does anyone have?
Is it just gray? I'm just thinking if it's gray, it's just a big lot of gray.
Yeah.
Although our pictures will cover it up, so we're all set.
Yeah, our pictures are gonna make it pretty.
But you have something in between the pictures. Does it matter? Does anyone care?
I guess I'm I don't have a strong opinion because I'm hoping we'll have different, we'll have a yellow rules sign and
What color? You don't have to put it up, but Kat, for some reason in my memory, the background is green. No, it's black and white. Never mind.
Oh, it is. It's a cow color.
It's a belty.
does anyone have handy his design from last time? I'm just going through my folder to see if I can find it.
You have a quorum without me. I'm just stepping aside to get some water.
Yes,
I think you have a quorum without me, right?
Yes, I do.
I'll be right back.
Does anyone have his?
Yes, I do. I do. Yeah. Give me a second. It's coming.
Yeah, I'm looking too.
I just had to email myself because I work on 2 to 3 computers a day. Okay.
Maybe did not print it out because I'm not seeing it in my folder. Maybe I only. Maybe I only looked at it online.
Here we go. And we're looking for the picture of what he had proposed, this one?
Yeah, and the materials.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, there, yeah.
Here we go, materials list.
I'm back.
So he's proposing asphalt shingles. Aluminum poles? Pipe fittings? Where's he gonna put those?
That's for the, I believe that's for the
oh.
telescoping kestrel box.
Okay, yeah. Oh, cork board, 6x6 cork board, 6x6, 6 foot by 6 foot cork board. Does that?
We didn't catch that.
Does
So
that?
we missed that. Well, that's okay. He's asking questions now, so we'll give him.
Yeah, there's 6 foot being talked in here a bit, so I guess we didn't catch that.
Yeah, is there a depiction of it all measured out on one of the slides? I thought there was. Thought he had something that showed.
Can you go back to the 2 pictures side by side? It doesn't seem to show.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in there, Joyce.
No, I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
So that kiosk that's there does not look 6 feet wide to me.
This one or this one?
Well, we know ours isn't, but
Oh, okay, right.
that one there, it looks a little more horizontal, but doesn't really look 6 feet wide, does it?
It may not be. I think, I think he's showing the idea probably
Right.
more than the idea more than the dimensions.
I want to make sure that do they make an outside cork board? Is that what you were talking about, Jim?
I used a fiber board. There was no cork in it. It's some kind of fiber board.
I'm concerned if they use a regular cork board, it's going to fall apart if it's not made for external. And perhaps that's part of what he's researched.
That's a good question to ask, though.
Yeah.
Because some of cork boards used when it has a case on the outside to protect it from the elements, but otherwise it will crumble.
And Jim, do you remember what the board was that you used called?
I do not. I just simply went to the store and I found something that it was like fiber board is all I remember. And
So it's softer.
yeah, it was definitely softer. You could put a pin in it. Seemed like it was designed just for that.
Because the other thing is ours is made of plywood, and I nail a tack in. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
Rather than a push pin, I just bring a small hammer and a tack.
The staple gun would work too.
Oh yes, yes.
That's true. That's true.
What I like, and maybe we should add this ourselves, put some little like bathroom door hooks on the bottom. So if you find a mitten or a set of car keys,
how
there's a
cute.
place to put it, and then just write a little lost and found above it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. That's maybe something we'd be able to add. You mean we don't have to ask him to do it?
Right, but
Right.
you could ask them. I mean, why not? Just in the lower corner, not making a big deal about it. But I was just thinking with a pin, it's nice when you see people putting stuff there. It'd be nice to have a little spot to hang it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
You
So, for now, I have some questions to go back to him with and some okays and some not okays. And I need to chat with him about, size and reason. And, our concern being that it's too big given, that it will just obstruct too much of the garden there and look too massive.
Yeah, and I'm even looking at our other scale for the other side. I don't know that we only need half of that. That might be too big, but I'll look at it again, okay? As far
Yeah.
as recycling that, repurposing it.
Okay.
I don't know that we need anything quite that big.
Okay. All right.
Smaller scale.
And then, I can't remember if we had definitively decided where we thought the Kestrel box would go, but we should, well, I guess there's a site walk that there's some site discussion we're going to have coming up in a later agenda item. So maybe when we get there, we can also sort that.
Is that an agenda item to go back to the Boy Scout with?
Well, he asked me, he said, would somebody be able to meet him and point to him where to install the Kestrel box?
I'm just discussing, is that a different agenda item? Because it seems to fit in with getting back to the Boy Scout here.
It is not a different agenda item. I just was trying to separate it because you said you were going to raise a site walk later anyway.
Oh, that was for something different. So
Right.
I think with the Kestrel, I just wanted to say we had expert advice on where to put it from 2 different bird experts. And the hillside going up in the middle between, what is that? In F, I believe, on the hillside going up behind the male pussy willow.
Oh, behind that big pussy willow?
Yep.
Oh,
So it's overlooking, but not too close. It was based on where they would like to be, not where we want them to be.
Right. I guess I was thinking it was going to be below there, but you're saying between there and the summit, that area.
Do you know where the pussy willow is?
I think so, yes.
And then it goes up a hill, and then up on the top, we have another patch of pussy willow
Yep.
that we've saved. Closer to the lower pussy willow when it's going up the hill.
Okay.
Than the upper pussy willow. So there could be some trouble with some rocky ledge outcropping there that might, be challenging. But they like to look out over the hay grass fields.
Right. Right. So E or F in that area. E, you said F, but I think you meant E, right?
Is F the one in the middle?
Oh yeah, F is the one in the middle. Yeah.
So by memory, F above the pussy willow.
All right. Did we decide paint? Well, I'll have to ask him about the material for that board. So, okay. Let's see. Jim, is there anything else on that before we move on?
Not that I can think of. But if you want me to meet you when you talk to him and go over some things, I can simply do that probably.
Thank you, Jim. So last time we thought it would be easier to talk about the rules if we had some all on one page. And thank you, Jim, for putting these in one place for us.
Did I miss that?
It was, I think he attached it with the draft minutes.
You want me to pull it up? Is that helpful?
That would be helpful.
Give me just a second. Happy to. Showing screen yet? There we go.
Come in.
Do you see it?
Yep. So we can see down to passive recreation only, and then there's a bunch more after that.
I wonder if you're seeing a different screen. Let me try again.
Did
I think-
Jenny just disappear?
Did we lose Jenny?
Okay, so do you see the first word general?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, good. And that's
Yep.
more. Okay.
And hopefully we get Jenny back, but we still have quorum. So when I saw this all, I was like, wow, that's a lot of rules.
This is not necessarily to be posted.
Right,
Is
this
it?
would be on the, I think, the website and then link to, right? Like we highlight some of it and have a code or something and post the for full set of rules, go to our website or something.
Yeah,
So how do
I
you
think
pick,
this,
how do you pick which ones you want to put up and which ones you want to put on the website?
I think they all go on the website and you put up the ones that are critical then, and they can come and go as problems arise.
And we could, so it's in a way rules and permitted uses. Is that right? So we're helping people understand what they can do here. For the sign, so am I understanding that correct? Like we may be putting some of these on the, what you just said, Freddie, some on the kiosk, some on the website? All right,
Oh, I think they all go on the website,
yep,
and there'd be a QR code to what's on the website.
okay.
And then I know we have the kiosk, but typically when there's an issue, don't we have a post right at the entranceway that we post stuff on that's more like emergency, urgency noticing?
Yes, there is that thing.
So I think so, like under trails, we don't need all of that. And typically it's stay on trails except for snow cover.
Yeah.
Why are you going off trail if if you're not snowshoeing or and I think that needs to be up top. And I think we need right now, we need a big yellow sign on that post. Is this I think this is an okay time to talk about this. I was there yesterday, was it? And there were two dogs, hunting kind of dogs, and their owner was on, I was down at Ecology and I could look up on the trail and saw them standing there while their dogs ran, and it looked like they were chasing something. The whole, from the trail across, if you're looking up the trail, you see, right?
Right.
All the way from the pond in all that grassy area down in the apple trees, all the way over to the trail going up from the Wildflower Hill, up and down, back and forth. They were running really fast. And then one they called and went back, and then the other one went into the grasslands in the big oval area. If there was a little bird there, ground nesting bird, it was run to death, if not eaten. I don't know what they were chasing, but it was like, it's not fun to be having your dog chase wildlife in those. There was no reason for it to be running back and forth. It was definitely chasing something.
So no chasing wildlife. Like you have that here.
No, it's like the big red sign. It's ground nesting bird season. I mean, or getting
Yeah.
back to maybe our nice little signs again. That's another topic. Can that come in under rules now?
I think it's a good idea to put a friendly reminder, because people who love dogs love animals and they love birds and they want to protect the birds too. So let's play to their heartstrings. And
I think we should put up the little bobolink signs again.
yeah,
I think the reason why they got torn down has gone. I think that was a reaction to another situation and not necessarily against protecting fragile habitat.
yeah.
And I don't think that would happen again, or we would know what we're faced with.
Yeah, and it's getting to be the time anyway. I don't know if I can do this tomorrow morning, but maybe tomorrow afternoon I can go in my shed and just assess what I have left of those signs, and we could order some more. The only invoice I could find from signs was the metal signs that we had done for no spray, but I don't think those other kinds of signs are terribly.
I want to guess, if I had to guess, they're in the $35 to $45 range. Does that sound right, Joyce? Because I was looking at yard signs for trails a while ago, and they weren't as pretty as what you have for the bobolink. But does that ring bell?
We had a lot of them made,
We had a lot of them made, but
3
I
different designs.
don't think individually they were that expensive as.
No, they're less.
Bulk. Yeah.
So I will follow up on that because I think I probably still have.
Melissa, are you here?
Yep.
Were you here when we had the bobolink signs made?
No.
Yeah,
I betcha Gemini Signs
It
would
was
have our account and would know, and it wouldn't be.
Did you say Gemini?
Yeah. They were very reasonable and pick up the next day type situation.
Where they're located?
They're right on Route 85 in Marlboro.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm looking for a
Yeah.
sign company. Thank you.
okay, so
And I think that would take care of the big orange, keep your dog on a leash or
it
else.
certainly helps, yeah.
But there could be a reminder sign there. Maybe a big bobolink sign.
Maybe
So-
the sign could be in the shape of a bobolink instead of the shape of a square. You just have the outline of the bird. I love it.
Oh, yeah. That one will be more and harder to put up,
Okay, all right.
except not on our new kiosk. We can definitely do that on the kiosk. So in terms of, is this list that Jim put together, is there anything like the dogs part has an awful lot that,
I think that's a nice saying.
The
And
SVT
I like
paragraph.
it. Yeah.
So that whole can you scroll down a little bit?
Yep. Sorry. Can you see it?
So that whole thing is dogs.
Uh-huh.
And one
Is
of
this
those,
all from SVT?
no, those are from SVT, Town of Harvard, and what we've had in the past. So one of those says keep trail dogs on trail at all times.
Yep.
Is that too much?
No way.
No, what do you mean that's too much?
Well, like, it's
With
like,
what?
that would, keep dogs on the trails and out of the fields.
No, that's
I
good.
mean, I don't have a
I think there's a point of saying that dogs are not allowed in ponds, streams, or vernal pools.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think it's keep dogs out. They're just not I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on the trails, they're not in those, but
They'll get in there.
I mean, I don't know how many, if this is just for the website,
Can we start the whole thing with what you can do, like permitted uses? Or is this just to say what you can't do? Because
if you're posting something, it's supposed to be invitational and we want you to come here and please enjoy our conservation land for passive recreation, nature, walking,
Bird watching.
no kite flying. Is kite flying there?
Did we say no to kite flying? I mean, it hasn't really been a problem.
Neither were rockets.
The only place I've ever flown kites or anybody else is the top of the hill where there's enough space.
So we can leave that off until it's a problem.
I think so.
Kite flying is usually discouraged where you've got birds because they
Right.
think it's a hawk and it can make them run to death. I've got a running to death theme tonight, guys.
I guess so.
If you had seen those dogs, you would have been upset too, I think.
I'm sure I would have. I would love this to, if this is the start of what would be the landing place on our website, I would love that opening, well, like sort of, thanks for checking out the approved uses and restrictions on use or whatever at Breakneck Hill, blah, blah, blah. We welcome visitors.
Was your cheek sore, Jim, when you wrote this?
Why?
After your top intro bolded letter, was your cheek sore from your tongue sticking in it the whole time?
What are you talking about?
The headline, Breakneck Hill Conservation Land and Dog Bathroom.
No, I had just gotten back from Hopkinton State Park, and if you've walked there recently, it's unfreaking believable how much.
actually, to
dog
your
poop.
point, Jim, I saw at Breakneck Hill, like what was
Yes.
really, really disturbing. Now the snow is melting. Like
Yep.
in one location, there was like five poop things right next to each other, piles.
Were they
Without
bags?
No bag.
Every spring this happens. Yeah.
Do you remember when the trail was so bad that we wanted to rename it Poop Trail?
Yep, I do.
And we had all little signs that were going to go up the hill instead of little bobolinks. It was little cute sayings. We had a whole bunch of them. The
Oh.
cows may moo, but we love the cows moo, but not your dog's poo.
That's really clever.
I made that one up. That's why you remember it. But there are a whole bunch of them. But it's been better, I have to say. And now it's
has
getting
been
bad
better.
again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's still in the spring. It's always terrible.
It's always terrible in the spring because
Why in the spring?
Because the snow melts, is that right?
Yep.
so when
It's
you
hidden.
covers stuff that you didn't see. So maybe it seems worse, but
Yeah, because there's no way there's like more activity.
yeah. So
Whatever happened to the Bark Ranger program? Is that something we would revisit?
Can we finish this part first before we go into Bark Ranger? Can we, what if we crafted a couple of sentences about the welcome and the things that we do encourage there, and then the bottom half is all the don't do this, the no's, like a slightly edited version of what Jim shared.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I think it would be good to have, like passive recreation is permitted, but between sunrise and sunset. But, just something more about what you can do in the beginning.
I agree.
The reason I brought up the Bark Ranger, I thought they had that in a pamphlet, so we wouldn't have to recreate the wheel.
Oh, I think that isn't that where while we welcome dogs on our trails, doesn't that come from the Bark Ranger stuff, Jim?
That was Sudbury Valley Trustees.
Oh, Just looking for my Bark Ranger thing. But yes, we do have the Bark Ranger materials.
I just was hoping that, I know in different workshops they've put on, it's like, it's always invite and, you know, welcome people to your conservation land. And it'd be nice to have that standard language, but
Yeah. How about I work on that standard language?
Okay, I added some notes here. I'll just send this to you, Joyce. Just some add intro here, permitted uses here, finish up here. And I'll highlight them what hasn't been finished. Does that work?
Yeah.
and I would say, depending on where we're putting this, instead of just saying permitted uses, like we invite you to, or we welcome
Yeah.
you, something,
More, yeah.
something more engaging.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
We welcome you, invite you to enjoy this conservation land.
Yeah. Featuring, you know, grasslands and woods and trails and birds and
You know, come explore
yeah. Yeah.
what Breakneck Hill has to offer.
Yeah.
So Joyce, you'll work on that?
Unless you want to take
No,
the,
no.
okay. I better keep track of my follow-up items because now I got a couple of them. Okay.
You know, rock climbing to break your neck.
Okay.
There's an awful lot going on in that property that many people don't even know about.
Please. Mhm. Okay. Let's stop
Okay.
sharing.
Snake land.
I'll do that. Oh, right, that giant snake from Becology.
That was something else. But I was thinking more of all the little snakes. You know, like the whole bunch of them were over in the quarry area. When you're walking on the trail, sometimes you're not a snake person, Kat, huh?
No. I barely survived childhood. I don't know how I did. And we had
I'll just never forget. I think it was Beth watering and the sound she made. And I went running over to see.
It was a big snake.
That was an awfully big snake.
All right. Anything else on the rules? I think probably we could sew that up next time if I get it together based on what Jim did and add the other piece.
So before we move on,
Yep.
because it was about rules, did we agree that if are people in favor of putting up the cute bobolink signs?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so if we can just go ahead and do that, because the bird should be coming soon.
Yeah, we're butting up right against that late March, early April time when they come looking for their nest sites.
And it would be nice if they didn't get run to death.
Are bluebirds looking for their homes right now too?
Pretty soon.
I saw a bluebird outside of my window. He looked like he wanted to settle in one of the condos in the backyard, so I was checking.
Good.
I was just curious.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure my boxes are cleaned out. We've had bluebirds for a couple of weeks at our feeders.
Mm.
There are flocks up there in the conservation land right now.
Fox?
Flocks. Flock, Flock.
Yep, I saw them the other day.
They
Too.
were actually over the winter, right? You
Yes.
said that some of them will stay here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, if we're ready to move on, is community gardens. And for those of you who don't know, I'll just share that Isabel received an inquiry from an out-of-towner about a plot, and you know, obviously the plots are for Southborough residents, and she shared with me and Melissa just a horrible curse laden email response when she politely told this interested party, you know, it was a very courteous exchange from, you know, the town of Southborough, but I felt bad for her to have to go through that, but she is probably gearing up to sign people up. And you know, I know there's been snow on the ground and everything, but the last time I was over there now, a couple months ago, when there wasn't snow on the ground, there's still a lot of detritus in the soil there that we're concerned about, or that I'm concerned about it being plowed under. So I think that that has to be part of the messaging from the town to Isabel, that they can't turn that soil in until there's further cleanup.
So I was there,
Yeah.
yes, Sunday. And I didn't find any site that I looked at. Not that there aren't some that I didn't see, but every single site had numerous plastic, whether it's this,
Could you rake it up? If someone had a rake, some sort of rake, can you rake it up?
I mean,
I
it's,
don't think so. Maybe, but I'll tell you why. A lot of it is the little plastic tags for,
Yeah.
and after being out all winter, they're brittle and they just break into little pieces. I'm not sure. Some of them are stuck in the ground.
Yeah.
Some of it is string, like pink tape. I don't know what that's used for. Some of them look like the size of bottle caps. I don't know. It was a big thing. They're green. I don't know what they're doing in the ground, but it looks like they're plugged in the ground. Maybe you could. It would be
Maybe
better, but
hand pick it. Is that the best way? How do you clean it up?
I think someone has to go over a brack baking work and pick up every single one. And there's hundreds.
Scouts.
like sometimes it could be also like with the frost heaves and stuff that has been turned under, I mean, pops
This
up.
is new stuff though.
And no, there's new stuff, but there's old stuff too. It's new and old, and it's like turning into a landfill is the concern.
There is actually one other thing that I noticed today. A lot of construction debris from across the
that too.
street blew down, and it's right up in the area between the shed and the road. There's quite a bit, a lot, really.
Oh,
Some of it made it into the wetlands beyond the ecology garden.
So
So-
who polices that construction debris and keeping that site intact where there's construction? Is that the building inspector?
No, he wouldn't do that, but you simply need to go to the
She-
builder and say, you need to get down here and clean all this stuff up. And I'm
Whose
sure
job
he,
is that?
I don't know, maybe somebody with authority.
I
Well,
can
it's
do
not
that.
Concom. It's not Concom if stuff got in the wetlands.
Oh,
Wait,
maybe. Yeah.
Melissa just say she could do that?
Yep, I can do that. I can talk to the
Melissa,
builder.
can you message to those builders that they need to hold on to their stuff and not let it get into the wetlands? And can you message to Isabel that I don't think that the gardens should be plowed until there's further cleanup done.
Yeah, last year we had said the same thing, and then we went and it had gotten plowed in because it certainly hadn't been cleaned up right before it got plowed in. And at some point, like when we were doing, how long ago was the ecology garden abandoned? A long time ago. When we were planting in there, the stuff we were coming up with, it's like Joyce said, at some point, how many years later does it become really a landfill? To be clear, it's not one or two items. You know,
I think that we met her there like a year ago or something, and a lot of promises were made that were not fulfilled by her. And I think she even maybe paid somebody to come in. Just there wasn't much difference.
oh, she's got a sort of a thankless job there, right, Joyce?
True. It is kind of thankless having done it. Um,
I can
So
do a few thankless jobs.
Melissa, can you follow up on both those things?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else on community gardens? Okay. Anything for Beecology to talk about, Freddie?
Yes, at some point I'll have a sign from Dr. G Gear there. We talked about putting a sign for the Beecology.
Right.
He's creating a standard sign for his project places, and then we can decide where we want it. I think I have an idea. The area, I'm going to try to get volunteers to go. We're going to have to do something to fence off all the plants that the deers are going to eat. I don't know why I thought we wouldn't have that problem, but you know, we don't want to lose thousands and thousands of dollars of investment. I think once they get to a certain size, it might be better. There's individual fencing around plants, or I'm not sure what the answer is going to be, but we should start looking at it, because I guess in the spring when they start to bud, that's when they'll come out and eat everything. The screen in the door is all busted up. I don't know how it could have gotten broken unless there was something sharp pushed through it.
Head full of
The gate
cameras.
for the fencing that's there?
The screen, the little gate Jim
Like-
made has nice little screening in it.
Yeah.
That's all torn up. I don't know if the plow went through it and just nicked it or something. I don't know what else could have done it, or somebody cut it. I mean, it didn't just fall apart the way it's torn out. I had a picture of it, but you don't need that. And I'll be working back with finishing up plans for the meadow. The
Great.
goal is to do some more soil prep, and then we will look at seeding in April maybe. And it's not clear what it might be hand seeding, because it's a smaller, it's just on the verge of we had talked about doing this thing. It's called the drill, no till drill seeding, but the property, there's a lot of rocky areas, and it's not quite big enough for that machine to come in and turn around. I think it's like a plow, so it's still a possibility. But then there are all these little micro habitat. There's low wet area, and then where some of the rocky areas are, it's higher and dry. So you have the opportunity to, you know, selectively seed plants that like wet in the wetter areas, and plants that like dry in the higher areas, which is eventually, if you seed it all, they'll sort themselves out kind of many years down the road. But this way you can do a better design. But I haven't been in touch. Remember, I had that gentleman from a meadow expert, Nick.
Oh, from Ashland.
Yeah, I've been out of, you know, sometimes you just lose touch, and I have to get back. I don't know if he's still available, but I'll let you know on that. It's exciting eventually, like everything.
So back to that sign at Beecology, that will be all Dr. Jagir's language.
Yeah, but we have opportunity. So it says he hasn't finalized it. It's like, you know, I can't even find my phone now. Oh, it's like pollination services or something. So we don't get a say on what's on it, but we agreed to put it up when he was giving us all the plants and everything.
So it's more informational about what's happening there.
Not really. There's a
It's branded.
QR code. It's branding. Let me see. I can send it later. Let's see if I can bring it up. It says native pollination systems at work,
Oh,
conservation habitat, and it's a graphic. So it's not your pretty flowers and butterflies. It's a graphic, black and white with yellow, which is sort of his ecology colors. And if you look really close in the back, there's a bumblebee on, maybe on, I'll send it out. Underneath it says Ecology Project, Research and Education. So.
Okay.
And then it says interested in joining the Ecology team at WW Ecology and a QR code. I don't think we have a problem with that, do we?
No. That's the citizen scientists.
Yeah. Oh, and he's going to do a training for us. Maybe not at Breakneck, but maybe somewhere else with students, hopefully. And adults, anyone, but for high school students.
Oh, great.
We're trying to, I'll just say this is part of ecology. One of his big things is not just, it's not just that he's come up with these plants. He wants to make sure it's working, and we're inventorying afterwards to see, like, it's no good just to have this idea and so what, it doesn't work. I mean, we already know we've seen the bees there the first year, but ongoing. So any training will benefit, maybe some people for, we call it Breakneck Hill. Like who was it? Jim and Joyce, we did the original training.
Jenny, I think.
Jenny, were you there?
Yeah. Yep. That's how I met everybody.
Is that how we got you?
Yeah.
And we met, and we had that was a full day training, wasn't it? A classroom, and I think we were some of the first, like something to be proud about. We were at the
maybe a
South
half
Union
day.
School, and then we
Yeah.
went over.
Yeah, maybe a half day, like an hour or two in the classroom, and then out at Breakneck Hill.
Yeah. So, I had two that I know of because they asked me to sign their paperwork. National Science Honors students take part of the winter sow. And so now maybe their teacher would be interested in, trying to grow the science piece of it, particularly with the school kids, maybe with St. Mark's as well. It doesn't hurt it might not just be at Breakneck Hill, but I think it's better for the community, for that what we're doing doesn't just stay at Breakneck Hill for us.
Right. Yeah.
Let me forward this.
All right. So that's good. I mean, the sign and all the ecology stuff is good. The torn screen in the gate is not good. So we need a good system, a better system for protecting the plants from deer and cars and parking and all kinds of.
I have to say that did I say this at our last meeting? I'll say it again. The pink tape, although I disliked it, it did serve a purpose because the big snow pile would have likely have ended up on top of the, in a snowstorm, men with plows are just going to push it where they can. And I understand that. And this prevented that. And the snow pile was outside of our area. So I think it helped.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good because we weren't sure it would work, and it helped in maybe a couple of capacities.
We can revisit that at another meeting. Is that on the agenda tonight?
Well, the next item I think was if we're done ecology was management plan.
Okay.
So this is something that is the draft outline that Melissa put together for us some time ago, and we kept pushing off that. The way I see it really is an outline of. I'm assuming, Melissa, that the way it's laid out, these things are sort of treated with equal priority
Correct.
in the current. So you're looking for feedback on things like which should be higher priority for like year 1, year 2, and then some seasonality kind of overlay to it, because in some cases there is a very specific season for mow and things like that, and then other things sort of less so. So is there any overarching remarks that you want to share about the priorities plan, Melissa?
Sure. So we went a little back and forth in the beginning because it was kind of a discussion of if you wanted to do a yearly versus just have kind of this priority plan. So that's kind of why I put it like this versus kind of a year format for now. It is helpful for, I think, both the Conservation Commission and Stewardship to have this type of plan, if nothing else, because we've been trying to increase the budget. And this is a good way to show and kind of help memorialize the financial aspect of the wants and needs that we need to have done at Breakneck. I think the reality or the hope is that I pulled kind of those six things that we had previously talked about and just kind of put the basics of what's on there. But if there's more specifics, that you want to go into, if you want it broader or if you want it more specific, there's definitely open way forward, and these are your priorities, so I want to make sure that you guys understand that or know that. And then if there's things that you want to just kind of maybe star within the management or priority plan, that yes, these happen yearly or seasonally versus this would be a one-time event. I think that would be a good separation to have for this in terms of budgeting.
So which happens seasonally, annually, as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Did everyone have a chance to look at it?
I did. I had a couple of questions, but
Okay.
did you want to bring it up or do we want to just look at it at home? I can look at it at home. Wait a second. You just sent that today again, Joyce, right?
I sent it, yeah.
I have it. I'm trying to figure out which email box, but it doesn't matter.
I think we got it in maybe December or so. Does that sound right, Melissa?
Yeah, I think so. At some point like that. Whenever there was a power outage.
Power outage. Priority plan. I think, well, certainly the Mass Wildlife Habitat Management Grant. I think all of those things are priorities. It's just not under the Mass Wildlife Habitat Grant. But I think looking for grants moving forward is a good thing to do. So that's an action item, but we're going to do a lot of those things anyhow. The thing I had concern about was, okay, so bird watching group of volunteers. I think there was another bee volunteers. Just wherever there's volunteers, it's kind of the goal is to do some of the work that's identified by volunteers, but also to get the volunteers to do the work is a whole nother project in itself and a whole nother level of time and energy and effort from somebody. And I'm not sure how to separate that from which of the tasks that we want to get done anyhow, with or without the volunteers, if that makes sense.
It does. I get what you're saying.
So that I would, as we know, we were amazing at getting volunteers on the pollinator work last summer, and I'm hoping it stays through, that we attracted people for COVID. stay at home looking for something to do. Will they all stay at that level ongoing? Who knows? I have a suspicion that many of them, most of the ones are dedicated to some level of commitment because they got the bug or they got the bee or the, but
They got stung.
yeah, they got stung, like hooked. And thinking we can do that in other areas is wonderful, but it even though people were available and really eager, it wasn't necessarily um, on intensive. And how do you do that with the other projects? And I've been looking for people to do birding for how many years?
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing that came up? Documentation. So I was talking with Rob today, and he was talking about that there used to be blackberries in this section and then they weren't there this year. And the question is that a result of changed mowing, or plants move around on their own? There's some years you're heavy with one thing and not in another year. I remember after I had done a lot of that milkweed planting, there's sections of fields that had almost, when you walked on the trail, it's like a hedge of milkweed. Jim suggested maybe I'd gone far enough. There's not a milkweed to be seen there anymore. And all I can think of is, it wasn't their place. They moved on. And now it's more of a natural where the milkweed would be. But lots of plants do that. But we don't even know, sort of like Dr. Jagir wanting to know if the bees come if you plant those plants in the ecology garden. Maybe we should start trying somehow to inventory, like what happens if we don't mow for 1 year, besides the invasives come in. What plants do we lose and when we do mow? And that's huge, but I think there's great value in it because we're sort of just, and maybe that's something I'd like to see if this connection with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife works out, that maybe he can help with.
Mhm.
It's not clear what he'll do. I have to get back in touch with him again. His name was Ted.
So some of these maybe are more, while they're priorities, they're a little more aspirational for a lot of things to have to fall in place for. That's like,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just gave you a new one totally, but it seemed kind of important today, given that we are mixing up our mowing schedule without really doing the best we can with the knowledge we have. Although that Ted from U.S. Fish and Wildlife said we were doing great stuff there. I don't think he put it like that, but he was really impressed with the habitat management we've been doing.
well, that's nice to know.
It is nice to hear.
Because he's obviously got some expertise in that. Sometimes it feels like we don't get many pats on the back. So yay us. Did anyone else have any reactions to the plan that they want to share? And I definitely like the idea of somehow pulling out some of those items that really are annual, as needed, or pinned to a particular seasonal approach, and then so that they're easily identified in the different categories. And then some things to me struck me as especially aspirational, like, I think a lot of things would have to happen for us to do a burn or something like that, or pulling off some of the, all the pieces for the kind of plant inventory and documentation that Freddie just talked about. So we do know when stuff moves around or whatever. I have a little bit of, I recognize this is a draft, but I think that we might be well served to not reference particular contractors and things in a draft, even in a draft like Politan or whatnot, because it would just seem like maybe something we shouldn't do.
Yeah, it could be, would it
I
be,
think that was the only place I saw that, was there on page 3.
I mean, would it be good to possibly kind of format this more like in a table, and maybe the item takes up, say, most of the line, then maybe you have columns where it's like a yearly goal and you know, you check it off, yes or no, or like
Yeah, no, I
maybe
definitely get
something
what you're
like biannual and then like long, you know, I don't know, it depends on how many categories we can break it into. And then also maybe categories or asterisks next to, you know, something like major goals versus, or I don't know what the right word is, but you know, kind of
yeah.
more realistic goals versus aspirational goals, something like that.
No, yeah, I totally get what you're saying, because I think the other part of this is that realistically, as a committee, you guys should be kind of reviewing these at the end of the year and saying, what did you get done versus what did you not, and what were those reasonings? Because it's really helpful, especially I think coming back to the budget in terms of, okay, if something was financial that stopped you, then how can you bring that back to Concom in terms of, okay, we have these 2 items that are high priority as documented here, and we just didn't have enough financial assistance to do that. Or you realize that something wasn't a priority anymore, so now moving forward you can cross it off the list. So I definitely think that some sort of table, I'll play around and see what the best might be. Maybe it is 2 in terms of you break it down into seasonal versus annual, and kind of give them a sort of ranking, maybe not an official ranking, but in terms of these are what we need to do now versus these are the long term or high priority wish list items.
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty flexible in terms of doing it that way, so that even our most aspirational ideas are here. So it's not like it gives us some flexibility. And obviously, yeah, we had started the mow and we got snow, so we didn't get to finish the mow. And like those things kind of happen all the time. And we just have to kind of go with, it's a wet season, we couldn't mow as much, or it's a dry season, we had to adjust in this way or whatever.
Can I suggest under priority goals, 5 and 6, maybe it's number 6 should be higher up, and public access.
Yeah.
I think calling it public access it has value, so that people know we're concerned with, making that that is a priority, because we do manage for public access and we want people there.
Going, we want to have a kiosk there. I think
We like the sledding and the snowshoeing that happened this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 1 through 6 isn't a ranking, that's just a literal
Right, but it
list.
doesn't say public access. So,
Yeah, so I'll put that, I'll add that in.
yeah, so I think, and it might be part of 5 or 6. And
that is right, like, even if whether it's a ranking or not, that it's item number 1 that somebody sees.
yeah, I think that's important, so that we're not viewed as being too conservation minded. And I know that sounds crazy for conservation land.
Actually, to that end, I feel like as like the document should have embedded in it our mission, which very much talks about balancing passive recreation with the conservation goals. I mean, both those ideas are in our mission statement.
Oh, and some of our mission might have changed a bit since you first drafted this, or action items towards priorities. We're really working on removal of some apple trees for the grassland bird habitat, but we're now doing restoration, the pruning to restore to health other apple trees, which I think is important for people to be aware of.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing.
Assessing which ones can be restored and which ones should be removed.
And so, he started. I don't know, after we get through this, that's going to be another subject. We're going to have to figure out what to do. I had one question for you, Melissa, because it doesn't resonate with what I know. It says under the resiliencies area, it talks about removal of vulnerable trees. And my understanding is that to be aware of where there are vulnerable trees, and when they come down, that if you replace them, you replace them with resilient trees, but that not that we were looking to go out and take trees down that are vulnerable. I'm not sure if that's a different way of looking at it, or that I'm not familiar with. Why would you remove trees that aren't down yet?
So, I mean, I guess I see your point. I guess it's more identifying, those trees that have been already kind of targeted as a vulnerable species to climate change. And then, if trees do come down, or if if they are compromised, then what can you, or at least plan to replace them with in the future?
Yeah. And I think keeping our eye on them is another good thing, because just because they're saying they're vulnerable, maybe that's not for another 20 years, and oh well, or maybe they're all starting to topple now, and it could become a safety hazard. Not at Breakneck Hill as much, where we do have some woodland trails, but that's more towards the which I think this isn't for the town forest, if I'm correct. This plan. Yeah, Breakneck Hill.
Yeah, it's breakneck.
But now that I thought of it, yeah, we do have trails through the woods, and what if those trees start to become, as they used to say in the day, widowmakers?
Oh, right. But maybe rewording it so it's more like plan, being prepared with a plan for more resilient species. As
Yeah,
trees succumb, more vulnerable trees succumb or something.
yeah. Because we do know once the trees come down, the most likely thing to come back in would be invasives rather than the resilient trees. So planning to plant might be a good idea. And in the town forest also. We should, I know that's not Breakneck Hill, but I think we talked about it at some point, looking at what the makeup of those. We have the forest stewardship plan,
Yeah.
looking at the tree makeup. I think we keep mentioning it, and I think if we keep mentioning it, one day we'll do it.
Yeah, that plan's up this year.
Yeah.
But thank you, Melissa. This is a great start for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Does that help you think about next steps for it, Melissa?
Yes, definitely. I think I'll go through and start to chart out a little bit more the series of events. Hopefully make it a little bit clearer.
Yeah. All right, great. All right, now I've buried in paper my agenda. So are there any other matters that we should discuss, such as town forest mowing or parking?
Well, can we stay on, because I think it's
Plan?
management plan, so anything to do with management comes into play.
Oh, yeah.
So the orchardist,
Oh, right.
Dennis, started, and he did one tree, maybe two. And what was surprising to me was the amount of debris left behind, because he is pruning, but he's not a full service company, right? He's pruning, and he is going to come a few days a week. He's not 5-day-a-week guy. So, and right now, yeah, I think he'll come like 1 or 2 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, and work through it. The question is, how are we going to get rid of the all the twigs? And it's not logs for like firewood. And I'm thinking if we should, we have a company that would come in and chip it up, and then we'd have all the chippings, which is okay, I think, because what are you looking at, Kat?
Well, I got excited because of the trails that you're building in your little gardens that require wood chips. Could you use those chips for that?
We could, but I don't think at the level that this is going to create. So in the past, we chipped in place, and the same thing when they take the trees down, we chipped in place, and then you got a circle of
Tips.
chips. Somebody else suggested, I mean, we don't want it just to go to waste. Like, I think we can come back and think about it. The cheapest, like when we talked before about removing stuff, it always became expensive to take it off site, trucking it off, and plus carbon footprint and all that. So finding a place, like, could we have what if we had a big wood chip pile somewhere? What happens with that? And I don't know that they would do that, because that would mean putting it all in one place, and he's going to be working on each tree here and there. So I think it would sort of be like a pile of, if we did have them chip it in place, it would be a pile under the tree. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that for now. And then it will decompose faster than one big pile.
So the chipper would have to go to each tree that gets pruned.
And I have a site walk with, or a conversation with Twin Pines to just even see how this would work.
A benefit. So one of the reasons we want to pick up and chip, right, would be so that detritus isn't there for a vine like bittersweet to grow on and create other problems that can't be mowed around. And so the wood chips being there creates like prevents that problem, and then creates soil eventually, right?
Yeah, you can't leave this where it is, I don't think. And if you go and take a look, you would see, like, if you put it in one pile for one tree, I'm sure it's the size of a Volkswagen. It's not a few little twigs. Plus,
Oh.
the branches are, they're not all folded together in a bundle. They're big and like a tree branch. There's a lot of air in between them, but it's a big pile.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit there and break it down. I thought, could we offer people to come take it for kindling if they wanted? That's a whole nother problem. How would they get it in and out? You don't want cars driving around and they're looking for the wood.
So it's smoke. If people use smokers, they like apple wood, right?
Yes, applewood is great.
But I don't know that they want twigs.
No,
Don't they want logs?
Yeah, smaller chips or.
I mean, there might be some smaller 2-inch wide chunks, but most of this are, go look and you'll see. It's a big,
Yeah, but
if you have a 6-foot branch that's got like 10 branches going off it, and then you put it on top of another 4-foot branch, it's unwieldy, it's big, but it's not solid. So I don't know that
but it's chippable.
I think so. So why don't I ask and just let you know that's just another component or another project?
Well, right, because we definitely don't want it there to just create a habitat for a vine.
Well, another reason of doing this will allow the mower to get underneath these trees where the invasives are growing and they can't get. So it will have an added benefit, but not if it's a pile of
Right.
Branches. Although when it's chipped, they're not going to be mowing because there won't be anything to mow, but it will be breaking down faster. I mean, we've been here before when we've taken trees out.
Right.
So I think that's the thing, is to find out what it would take for chipping it. And then if the cost is way too high, we'll just have to come up with another idea.
So if something does start growing up through the wood chips, though, the mower won't be able to go over that.
Yeah, it will.
It will.
Just nothing's going to grow right away in my
Yeah.
memory of how dense wood chips get. But this isn't maybe that dense. I don't know. I didn't mean to say they couldn't mow it, but there just wouldn't be anything there to mow for a while, I don't think.
And what would it definitely creates a barrier that slows down the weeds. So yeah.
So that was exciting to see that done.
Yeah.
And he's also going to look and give us a count, because I said this at the last meeting, I think. He
Yep.
came up with that he can probably save more of the trees that we thought needed to come out because of the height. He thought over time, if we're not, there's different ways of looking at it. And when you come in once and you see all those trees at once and you make a choice, but he's gotten to know it a little better. So that would be beneficial to cost versus taking the trees out, and habitat, and keeping people happy that we're trying to keep some of the apple orchard there.
Yeah, they still are pretty when they bloom and stuff.
And they have birds in them. And
Mhm.
so that was that section of the management. And the other thing, they're going to talk about mowing. I have to figure that out because of the snow. Last year we mowed some in March.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if the late mow had something to do with the lack of the blackberries versus, not only is it if we mow, it's when we mow. What does that have? So it'd be nice to start having a chart to track when we mow and where we mow. Joyce, you tried figuring that out from the past, didn't you?
And we did identify a bunch of places that we didn't mow in different seasons. I think it got recorded either.
So there's a list somewhere. It'd be nice to have a formal kept list.
I'll have to find it again.
But I don't mean you to go and do all the work. I mean, from now on, like we have one place that we record every year. This is where we mowed. This is when we didn't mow, what section we didn't mow, and when the mower got there. And actually also when we mow the grasslands.
Yeah, Melissa, maybe something to consider in that plan is, a place to record annually the portion we leave unmowed and dates for mowing.
Definitely doable, yes. Would
Thank
you want
you.
that just kind of like on the yearly checklist, or do you want a dedicated table
I
to
think
track?
a dedicated table would be great.
So that in
Okay.
10 years, we can look back and see where we mowed
Yep.
every year and
Right.
which section didn't get mowed. And
Yeah, mowed, date, or like preserved for not mowing in that season.
and it might be nice to have notes, like
I was gonna
what
say, note
happened.
for observation, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
That's doable.
right, observation. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say it first.
Got it.
That's cool. And then there's one final thing.
Okay.
An opportunity arose, and I just thought of it today, and I made the call. So I'm taking a course, and where did it go? I have stuff keyed up, and then something else comes, and I look at it and I lose it. So sorry, can you wait 1 minute? It's called take me 1 minute, sorry.
Actually, Freddie, while you look for that, I could talk about another part of the management plan that I got an inquiry from somebody over at Chestnut Hill Farm on.
Okay.
So I almost forgot, even though I printed it out. So someone, Jesse Robertson Dubois over at well, I guess he has a business called Finicky Farm, and he is the one that lives at Chestnut Hill Farm and does some work over there and keeps some goats. And he's saying that he's gonna start using his goats to provide a service of like mobile grazing, and he's inquiring of our interest in having the goats come round to Breakneck Hill, and even sheep. So he's inquiring of our interest. So I wanted to bring that to the committee as one option under our management plan, as a way to, manage some of the property and just get some reactions before I offer my reactions on
Are we
this.
allowed to pet them?
It doesn't say.
They're behind electric fences.
No,
And generally, they're very expensive.
unless they're
They're great for what they do. They'll go into a stone wall that's covered with garbage, and they'll go in there and they'll clean it all out. But it's not a cheap thing. People have offered this kind of thing before.
That's what I thought. And I think he's offered it before too. I think containment has got to be concerning. Like, how do they stay contained?
It's a mesh electric fence. I've seen them. Audubon uses them in several of their preserves, and the mesh is about 4 feet high, and they put it on plastic poles, and it keeps them in.
Joyce, you got muted.
Oh. I don't know how that happened. I wasn't even, am I muted now?
Nope, you're good.
Nope.
I wasn't even touching my computer. I guess I just talk too much and the world is telling me something.
Would probably be the same fencing that they have at Chestnut Hill right now, because it is movable fencing that they use for the goats. So I bet it would be exactly the same that they would probably bring over.
I guess I just feel that, like, my concern would be a couple of things. The poop of the goats could have seed matter that would be introducing yet new invasives and ag weeds to the property. The containment issue, that there are patches of plants that we're concerned about that we want to protect, be it the monkey flower, that baptisia. And I just feel like we're just getting a handle on things without grazing there for some time. I'm just not sure. So that, like, that I want to go toward livestock again after that. And
I don't think they're for general areas. I think they're for specific problem areas. At least that's what I've heard them used for in the past. You wouldn't, I mean, you could, but you wouldn't necessarily just put them out in the field, if that's what you're thinking.
It wasn't clear what this proposal was for, but I would say, from my perspective, that we'd like to hear what, we're thinking about doing some intensive management potential with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, what resources they're offering and what their perspective is, and follow through with that before we go on a new route. But maybe it's something to visit for next year again. I also did briefly, because Dr. G. Gear had contacted me about the sign, and I asked him what he thought, and he said, well, just for invasive removal, but then if you have a heavy infested area, but it's not for regular management, and then what happens is, this is his take, that you still have to deal with the invasives. Like if you have a really, really heavy infestation that you can't even get to, it's a good method, but you often end up with a monoculture because they will eat a lot of the other, there's like one plant they don't like.
oh,
And then they'll eat everything else. And then, so just picture if you have the backside of H, of the summit, where we have some heavy, I was interested in it for the multiflora, not for the bittersweet that got a hold there because we didn't do as much mowing around the favorable native roses.
Yeah,
Well, if they ate the roses, I don't know that they will, but if they ate the roses and the bittersweet, then when it comes back, it's going to come back with roses and bittersweet,
yeah,
so I think we would need more research, but also what Joyce said, like then how would you get, that's pretty far back. How would you get water there? All this, I don't feel I have the capacity to managing
Yeah.
somebody else managing.
well, and I think that Jim said he's heard it's super expensive.
I looked into it after the cows left. I don't know what this proposal would be, and to say it would be before we hear.
Mm.
I think the question is, are we interested in pursuing it more? I know that our whole budget to mow all of Breakneck Hill annually, when we used to do the whole thing, that amount of money would be used for the whole season with goats. That was one proposal, and it would have given us 2.5 acres.
I remember that, yeah.
But that was a different, somebody bringing the goats there, not local. So, I mean, there's different things that come into play, but
Well, they would still have to be transported in and then probably transported out. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
and then the fencing put up and moved around. I'm not sure that, is this a cost or was it to feed there's a lot of things we don't know. The question is, I don't necessarily know that. I'd like to find out what we're doing with Fish and Wildlife first before going into another area of management, because we were talking about a burn.
right, right. Well, is the committee comfortable with me responding that we're looking at an alternate management approaches for the near term, but we'll keep that in mind down the line?
Yeah, if he wanted to walk up there sometime with us, that could be very interesting to see what he can do. But I think it might end up costing a lot, but you never know until he tells us.
Okay.
You
Any
can
other
bring
comments on
some
that?
goats to my house.
Yeah, you.
I think they like it. right?
In my yard too. Freddie, did you find that other thing you were looking for?
I did. So I'm taking a course, and the teacher is a expert in this thing called Sustainable Sites Initiative. It's a way of, looking towards climate change and, green infrastructure for dealing with stormwater in particular. And he's somewhat of a stormwater expert, and he will come out and do a site walk and look at our parking lot to come up and provide some information to us. If it'd be $100 for the visit, we could take down notes. If we want to propose, so it's something else. But I thought it would be worthwhile to get ideas on getting the water out of the parking lot. We've talked about it. Somebody came up with, like, we need a big infiltration, and I think it would be worthwhile to have alternative ideas of how to do it. Like, I thought just dig a trench and like have a little hole where it would seep in, but that might not be good enough for the wetlands. And he's all about, making sure that you get the best environmental return on dealing with stormwater. And even though that's our parking lot, it's still stormwater in some to some.
Who is it?
Pardon?
Who is teaching it?
Oh, his name's Trevor. Is it Trevor Smith, maybe?
Is he a consultant or is he with UNH?
He's a consultant. I don't know who he teaches with. He's teaching a course I'm taking at Native Plant Trust.
Okay. I mean, I think, well, I guess the question is, are we, I mean, so I've done a few of the workshops on creating stormwater BMPs at UNH. They have a stormwater center. So I was the one who had said, you can't just, well, if you're going to do it like right, you have to, there's things that you have to consider with like different sizes of gravel and how you lay them out and stuff like that. So I guess a question is, are we interested in doing it right?
That's why I suggested having an expert come talk to us
Okay.
and provide options of what he thinks. There's a new certification that's out there for this type of stormwater infrastructure, the Sustainable Sites Initiative, and he's the guy that's teaching it. I'm not sure for whom. But we've been talking about fixing that parking lot for years, and it just seemed to me this was enough, just even to get some advice that would be affordable and different than what we normally get. Because we were ready to go with the parking lot, and then something came up that we needed to do some big, get chips of pavement from all around town and install it that way, and that didn't even deal with the stormwater, and then nothing happened, and I think DPW just came in and enlarged it. I mean, it's a bigger parking lot today than it was with newer stuff, and they still got the you still have the flooding issue. So I don't know how that happened. Was anyone here aware of it? Does anyone else think it happened?
I noticed that the ramp going into the parking area had been fixed up a little bit, that maybe added more material. That's all I noticed.
Well, that was a new road and it was breaking up because the water's getting underneath it. And I knew that was causing a damage to the road at one time. But if you look at the parking area, there used to be this big grassy area between the end of the parking and the split rail fence, and where the pollinator garden around the big boulders are. And it's right, the pavement's like what, 6 inches from the rocks now? It's not pavement, but whatever that stone
The
does,
gravel, yeah.
something got laid down there and spread around. So I think it would serve us to at least investigate it. We've been talking about this for how many years?
So how easy is he? And he's local, Freddie?
Arlington, he can come on. I think it was Monday at 3 or Friday, a week from Friday, the 26th at noon, or the 31st, I think. So these are weekdays, but that's,
I can do Friday the 26th, but I can't do the 22nd Monday the 22nd at when? 3?
sorry, I found it.
Yeah, I think he said 3 on Monday and noon on Friday.
I don't know where I lost it. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I can do Friday. I can't do the Monday, but Friday the 26th I could do.
I'll have to find out. I'm sorry, I can't find my notes. There's no commitment, just advice. And one thing that happened in this class, somebody was planning this really big project, and he was like, why do it, why go that far when a lesser project would serve you just as well for this condition? Which I like that idea, not overbuilding, but I'm also quite aware that he's very conscientious about not underbuilding, like not taking care of what's going in. And we could get advice elsewhere, but I just thought, here's something,
No, it's not
just
that
let's
much.
do it and get some information.
Yeah,
Or we can talk about it next year.
Well, yeah, well, if you want to have him come out, can you let me know when he comes out also?
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up, to tell everyone is there a time between those two dates? And Joyce said Friday the 26th. I'm sorry, I can't find my,
That's okay.
well, it matters to Jenny and I don't want to,
But I'm
Well-
pretty sure you said Monday at the 22nd at 3 or Friday at noon.
I did say that, but I don't know why I
So
said
if you
that.
were looking at a piece of paper or something.
Oh, I was doing that from my head. I remember that as a fact. I think Carly's sitting on it. You think
Okay.
cats are bad?
What was Friday's date? The 26th date? The time, sorry.
Noon.
Oh, I've got it. Friday, the 26th at noon and Monday, the 22nd at 3. And if those don't work, his next time is the 31st. But I don't know what time, the next date. That's not time.
How long do you anticipate it? Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, I'm out, I think.
Be 1 hour-ish
So,
or however long it takes.
Yeah, both.
yeah, so I probably could do Monday at 3, but we have a meeting 11 to 12 on Fridays. So I would probably be late enough that it wouldn't, I don't know, I'd miss a lot.
Well, let me see what, when you say you have a meeting, is it like you could leave your house at 12? I mean, like, should I ask if he could do it at 1, 12:30?
Yeah, 12:30 would work.
I can ask.
I can probably be there anytime.
Yeah, and that would work for me too. The Friday date is just easier than the Monday date for me. Personally.
Easier. So, where Jenny has taken classes like this, I'd really think it'd be beneficial to have her there.
Maybe more than me.
Well, no, I don't ever want to say that, Joyce.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I will be there if I can. So thank you.
So Jenny, if I can get it at Friday, the 26th at 12:30, would that work for you?
Yes.
And if not, Monday at 3?
Yeah, that should work.
And Joyce, you would try to be there if you could Monday at 3?
Yeah, I can't. I've got stuff from 2 to 4 Monday. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, so it's either 12:30 on Friday, and that would be the 3 of us.
Mhm.
And Jim would make 4, or it's Monday at 3 without Joyce.
Mhm.
And the
And
22nd, right? When you're saying Monday, you're saying the 22nd.
Yes, a week from
Monday, the 22nd, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. He's, yeah. All right. The first time he was at, he's a board member of Ecological Landscape Alliance, I think, which doesn't mean anything, but he's focused on this water issue for a long time, I guess.
What's his name?
Trevor Smith. I'll try to send if I have a contact company info out to you guys. I wanted to hire him years ago to do a talk because he did a great garden design. So he was, landscape architecture, I think, but he did a garden design on the census, and it was about sound, not just smell, but sound and what is the other sense? What you see, but it was the sound was the most interesting, like how to make a garden interesting by sound.
That is interesting.
And that's when I wanted to get, one of those xylophone things, like what's you have a stick and you bang it and it makes different noises.
Yeah.
They have one at DeCordova, but it's a chime, but you can do it with wood. I thought that'd be really cool for the town forest.
Good segue.
Into the town forest? Okay.
Do we have some town forest items?
Yeah, just briefly. So we've not heard, the Choate Fund grant that we were waiting for announced has not been announced. And I reached out just to see if I could understand if they were going to do it again this year. And no word yet, but I did reach out to our sign guy, Philip, and asked him to give a quote on if we were going to do little trail names.
Yeah.
Sign names. So he quoted this 12-inch by 4-inch. It's engraved letters. So he's proposed a brown paint. It's on red cedar wood with white letters. and with vandal resistant stainless mounting screws. So, so roughly I have estimated about 5 to 6, it just depends, 5 to 6 trail signs, which equals 6 is 390. And then the idea was to put the trail names up and then have some additional signage, maybe a map board at Woodland, where there is that stand. Right now, it's just a plywood empty board. You put a map board there, just a small one, you know, something to say, if you're walking up, this is what it looks like. Because the other side already has one, we could potentially do a map board at Woodland, I mean, at Walnut, at the end of Walnut, and then a couple permitted uses things. And then there's, when you're coming into off of Walnut Drive into the main trailhead, SVT has a like 8.5 by 11 sign on a tree that says this is SVT land, but it could use a little town forest line just as a reinforcement marker, because you come down, you see the town, you see the Oak Hill Walnut sign, but you don't see where to go from there, and it's not really clear because you feel like you're in someone's driveway. So anyway, all those signs, rough estimate, it just, I don't have quote from a sign person, but I used some quotes from another Boy Scout project that put up some waterproof signs, and it's roughly $750 or $800. But without the grant, that puts a, you know, kind of a question mark. So the one question I would put before the committee, I know we said we don't have any money, but is there any money, like, you know, $600 or $750 floating around that would be available for such a project?
Can I ask a question? When are you planning on trying to do this? When would the signs, when would the trails be made? And when would we know the trail names?
Well, we were going to do, remember, we talked about postponing our idea to invite the community to join or to come to the forest, take a look, think of trail names, and we were going to do a survey with some proposed names and let people vote. That was one option. We were going to have kind of to engage the community in naming the trails based on suggestions that we come up with.
Yes, when was that, for Earth Day week, April-ish?
It could be.
Melissa,
Yep.
is town forest work allowable under the stewardship line item?
Yes.
So I'm going to come up with some plans with the budget with Joyce and some of this, like the chipping and tree work and stuff, but there's a possibility this could be funded, Catherine.
Okay.
So
And only some of the signs would be that it's that first 390 that you said that would have to have the names in
Right.
them. Right?
So
That requires that, and
estimated,
then the other stuff wouldn't, right?
the other signs are not wooden.
Right.
Right. So the other signs are more of the, you know, kind of the plastic or the,
Oh,
whatever,
right.
you know, the signage, whatever we've approved, whatever
Yeah.
material, a metal sign or
Yeah.
the plastic that, you know,
what
that
does it, with the little hiker guys on them?
that's actually, I had that in the list because Breakneck Hill coming towards Woodland needs one of those, and coming off of Kidder Lane would need some sort of signage to say, if we want to utilize that parking that's on Kidder Lane, we, you know, want to point in some direction to the town forest. So I kind of,
750, 800, that was combined, of which 390 was one thing.
yeah, 390 is roughly if we did 6 wooden signs for
Got it.
trail.
Okay.
If we did 6, that's about.
Just trying
Does
to-
that include the post and to install them?
See, I'm not going to propose we do posts. I want to use what we have in the forest, which are trees, right? We can put the trail signs on the tree instead of installing a post. So you're not only saving money, but you're also utilizing your resources that are there already. So where it's possible, I'd like to try to use a tree and install that. And then that also includes, like, my thoughts were, there's already color coding on the trails now, random orange and yellow and blue blazes. kind of all over the place, but to capitalize on or leverage what's already there, this arrow could be a color, and then we could, the blazing, I just looked up, it's like $5 a can for lead-free paint that the Forest Service recommends for trail blazing. So we could reblaze the trails with the color, and the color be the arrows so that you know what trail you're on.
So Jim, you had a look. Is there any reason not to screw or nail signs into trees?
You can do it, but you can't do it tightly. You have to have them coming out a little bit.
In case the tree grows?
Oh,
Exactly.
right. Yeah, that's the same with blazes, right? You got to leave the nail out. So that might not work so well, but.
I don't know what the answer is. I'd like to have an answer before we go putting holes in trees.
Oh, I agree. And also there's vandalism, right? These are going to be some cute signs and people are going to want them. They're going to want to steal them. So I don't
Yes.
want.
Yeah, because they'll go good with the birdhouses they bring home.
But if you put them high enough, the people will either have to bring a ladder or they'll
Yep.
have to climb the tree. So that's a little odd. I know you don't want to look up for the sign, but I really don't want them stolen.
I don't want them stolen either.
Yeah, in the past, the signs that I put up behind our house here, anything that was high was not vandalized. Anything low was vandalized. So,
I would break the rules of how high you're supposed to put them just to protect them.
So we'll have a sign at the beginning or notice, look up when you're looking for if you're lost, look up.
just
Yeah, that's a good point about trees. I didn't think about.
I don't know the answer. I don't know that it's not allowed. I just know you also, when you put holes in trees, when we go camping where everyone sticks nails in the trees, and granted it's lots of nails over the years, that's where they get disease comes in.
Yeah, I don't want to disease the trees.
But it might be okay. Just, I don't know. Do you have the resources to ask somebody?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll ask Philip. He's familiar with some of this, and it might be that instead of installing it on the tree, is it a little bracket, that kind of L-shaped bracket that it sticks off of the tree or something like that. But I mean, it would still be a hole in the tree. But I mean,
Yeah.
So if not that, then we're starting to look at
post.
and these are screwed in tightly so they can't steal them, right?
Yeah, but they're gonna steal them because the post can't be high enough to prevent them.
right.
But how do they steal them if they're going to have to saw them off?
They're attractive enough. They're gonna kids. Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine them sticking around very long. So that was kind of the thought.
But if they're screwed onto the post, I mean, how did the cute little hikers still stay there on Woodland Road? Those are adorable, I think.
Cute.
I mean, we're really talking a handful. It's not like multiple nails, and like it's probably what, a half a dozen trees.
Yeah, if there's only 5 or 6 signs, then
I'm not against it. Just find out if it's.
no, it's a really good question. But I guess, yeah, I'll look into it because we blaze with nails in the trails committee, and we haven't, and I know it's a standard practice in some places, but we haven't really run into don't.
Oh, well, then that's good enough for me if you're doing
Well,
it
no,
already.
I want to revisit it. You can always, reserve the right to get smarter in life, and every opportunity to ask a good question when you have it answered is a good opportunity to take. So I'll jump in on that.
Can you put together the full price somewhere? I'm seeing 65 each. Is there some place where you have everything written out?
No, I did a rough estimate as we were just chatting here based
Can you
on.
email that to Joyce? Just a rough estimate's good.
Yeah, I can. And then I'm going to work with the sign company to get a real quote for some of the other signage that I was referring to.
And is the other signage part of the original quote you made?
Of what I just said, yeah.
Okay. And I get that it's an estimate, but
Yeah.
Be nice to be able to do that if we can.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to, I don't know, I haven't really worked out the details of how to incorporate the community and how that survey is going to go and what it will look like and how successful it will be, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. It might be worth putting some thought into it. I think it's a fun concept, right? And if we can incorporate it into spring where people are looking to get outside and we're trying to bring more people to the town.
An Earth Day,
And Earth Day. You know,
Planet Palooza.
yep, there you go. Freddie's got it all planned out already.
Yeah.
So thank you for your consideration. All right.
I like it. Thank you for working on this so much, Kat.
Yeah.
It's one thing about you, you always put together a nice little presentation.
Thanks, Freddie.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you, Kat.
There's even pictures of the different sign places. Is that ours? For an example?
So these examples, no, these aren't ours. These are
But
just,
still, you know, you went to that, unless that just comes with a website, I don't know, but it says Town of Southborough. It's really nice, thank you.
I just used the letterhead as it's, you know, it was Trails Committee. I just changed it to Stewardship Committee, and there you go.
Can you give me your letterhead? I still don't have any for the Open Space Commission 20 years later.
Yeah, I can send it. It's a Word template. It's really easy to change. So,
Thank you.
Of course.
It's worth $1,000. Joking. It's not my money, but I've been trying to get a letterhead for years.
That's funny, or not. That's not.
It's not funny. It's sad.
funny. Sorry.
We have one for the Stewardship Committee, Joyce?
No.
I made
Okay.
it. I'll send it to you too, Joyce, and you can work with it.
It looks awfully familiar. I think that stems from mine.
Yeah,
Well-
Recreation gave it to me for the trails, and we.
When I asked for it, I got the seal, but no, like it just never worked. It always like, you know, when you play with putty, Play-Doh, and you make a impression, it was always like stretched out or.
Oh, right. You have to get it right on the corner.
Yeah, it has to be right on the dimensions and stuff.
It always looked like I was faking it.
Yeah, I think Melissa may have sent me something one time and I botched it. Through no fault of Melissa's, it was my botching. All right, is there any other items that we want to discuss tonight? We've been through our agenda, and I think our next meeting, we're hoping we may, which hopefully be in a couple of weeks, maybe we would have something from Kimberly. All right.
Yeah.
I have one final thing to say. Sorry, I was muted.
Yep.
Can we key up that we want to look at the forest stewardship plan?
I'll put it on the next agenda.
It was the timeline. It was good for 10 years, I think.
Yeah, and this is a year it comes up, 2021.
And there might be a grant or something to look for to, I remember they had one to help us pay for it and I don't know that renewal is as expensive, but I think the plan was 10K.
I think that's what I recall you saying before.
I make,
For it, right?
and we got the grant and they paid for it, but you had to have it to get in the program. And I don't know how re-upping, but if we did that, that would be an awesome way to find out what shape we're in for the regeneration, you know, the climate change trees.
Yeah, and is
We could
that,
ask them to compare the two, right? What we had before, what we have now. Is it already changing? Are some getting in bad condition because of this?
and is the forestry stewardship plan on the website, Melissa?
I want to say yes, but if it's not, I can definitely either put it up or send it to you.
I have it somewhere.
I just sent it to Kimberly. I can send the link to you guys, and I think it's on the town website somewhere.
I just saw our we should go do that again too. The great scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
That's on the website.
We could incorporate that into this whole, hey, come visit the town forest, do the scavenger hunt, check out the trails, and come up with some trail names. I like it.
And was that a fall scavenger hunt? Do we need a spring one?
Oh.
I can't, I think it said like find something with legs, find a nest for an animals, listen for different noises, different colors. I
What
don't,
car was that going by? Was that a tractor trailer?
uh,
That it definitely, I think we released it in May last year, so I think it's,
Oh, we're good to go.
yep.
okay. Anything else for tonight?
Dinner.
Okay. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that. That's fine.
And I'll take the roll call. Jim,
I agree.
Jenny,
You're muted, Jenny.
I agree. Sorry about that.
Pat,
Yes, I agree.
Betty.
I agree. And Harley says, let's go, Mom.
And I agree. So the motion passes and we are adjourning at 8:59 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
all.
you.
Hey, great book
Bye.
to read, Braiding Sweetgrass.